Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to KHM Today, your weekly go-to resource for industry news and straight up fun. I'm your host, Carolyn Orff, and I am back at home enjoying the heat wave that is going across the country. And I'm so happy to be here with all of you today. You know who isn't home? Our own Matt Walgren, who is out and about for the next 2 months on a little adventure. So this month, we are going to be giving you clues throughout the show as to where he might be. Put your guesses in the Q&A box, and at the end of the show, he's going to tell you where he is. So, super excited. He's in a great location today, so we're excited to share that with all of you. So this week, we welcome Mark Yacker from Europe Express. We have VA is back with more travel protection information. One of our fan favorites, Dave G, is here with a little financial tip for us to help keep track of the money you are earning throughout the year, as well as Kevin Kelly is here where he's going to uncover the latest post-pandemic trend for us. Chantel Nye is leading a fantastic FAM in Puerto Vallarta this week, so to fill in for her with the headlines is Virginia Ann Busceme with the education team here at KHM Travel Group. Please welcome Virginia. Hi, VA.
Hi, Carolyn.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. What is in the news?
Well, we're going to start off with some good news for the airline industry. The airline industry passed a milestone last Friday when 2 million people streamed through U.S. airport security checkpoints for the first time since March of 2020. This is the first time in 15 months that we've reached that mark. Friday's crowds were 74% of the volume compared to the same day in 2019, so recovery still has a ways to go. However, we have come a long way. There were days in April 2020 when fewer than 90,000 people boarded the planes in the US. And we are seeing increased bad behavior on flights. With more people traveling, the airlines are seeing a dramatic increase in violent onboard passenger incidents. Through May, there have been more than 2,500 incidents. Two of the reasons for this increase are the inconsistent and changing mask rules, and people are experiencing pandemic fatigue. Many travelers are not frequent travelers and don't understand it's a federal mandate to wear a mask on public transportation, such as on planes, trains, buses, and anything that's public transportation. It doesn't matter what the CDC uses, I'm getting all tongue-tied. It doesn't matter what the CDC says about mask usage. It's the federal mandate, so we just have to do it. Over 2,500 incidents mostly have been related to wearing masks. There have been over 3,000 people banned by the airlines, and many of those are because passengers refuse to wear a mask on board. Flyers are increasingly pushing their views in places they don't have a legal right to do so. Travelers want to return to normal after over a year of significant restrictions on movement. The pandemic fatigue is shown by rising temperatures. This pandemic fatigue is shown by rising tensions with airline employees and other passengers turning on customers who are not behaving as mandated. As travel advisors, we can explain to clients that they have very little control over what is happening when they fly. Frequent flyers understand this and deal with it all the time, but others may see this as their rights being violated and push the point without understanding the consequences. And I have a little bit more bad news, Carolyn. Not over with the bad news. I don't like this part. Unfortunately, COVID is still with us. Royal Caribbean announced today they are postponing the debut of the Odyssey of the Seas until July 31st. 8 crew members tested positive for coronavirus during a second round of testing as part of the CDC's conditional sailing order. The crew members are in good health and are being monitored. As a precautionary measure, Royal Caribbean is quarantining all crew members for 14 days to ensure the health and safety of everyone on board.
Do you want to know what the good news is with that, VA, though? The protocols and it worked.
It worked.
The procedures worked. So, that is the good news behind this.
That is definitely the good news. And I do have some good news.
Yes.
Nightly fireworks are coming back to Walt Disney World and Disneyland. And I'll have to tell you, when I was there in January, that's what I missed the most, for the fireworks. Mm-hmm. July the 1st, we'll see the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World presenting Happily Ever After, a show that will transform Cinderella Castle with lights, projections, and pyrotechnics to present moments from favorite Disney stories. At Epcot, we'll see Epcot Forever, a dazzling spectacle on the World Showcase Lagoon, celebrating the past, present, and future of Epcot. Fireworks will return to Disneyland July 4th with Mickey's Mix Magic. With projections, lighting, and lasers, this show will transform areas of the Magic Kingdom into a dazzling dance party that goes sky high with fireworks to celebrate the leader of the club, Mickey Mouse. And also, yesterday at Walt Disney World, fully vaccinated guests are no longer required to wear face coverings in most areas. And that's really good news with the heat today. Masks will only be required on Disney transportation, including Disney buses, monorails, and the Skyliner. While not requiring proof of vaccination, Disney expects all guests who are not vaccinated to wear masks in all indoor locations, entering the parks, and throughout attractions and transportation. Disney World is also relaxing physical distancing guidelines for places such as shops, restaurants, attraction queues and boarding, transportation, and theaters. Also yesterday, Disneyland began welcoming out-of-state guests to the happiest place on earth, and have discontinued on-site temperature checks. Disneyland also removed physical distancing requirements and will allow guests to self-determine distancing. I like the difference in terminology between Florida and California. I like self-determined distancing.
I think this is the perfect excuse to tell people to back up. And I actually did ask someone to back up the other day in a line. They were just, COVID or not, you're encroaching on my personal space.
Give me some room.
I need some room. Thank you so much, VA. We'll see you later on in the program.
Okay.
All right. Oh, sorry. We didn't take that one off, did we? We'll talk about that one the next time. We'll see you back here soon.
Okay.
So every time our next guest is on, the comments just blow up. So please welcome back David Gutierrez to KHM Today. Welcome, David. This segment is sponsored by Disney Destinations. The 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World begins in October. There is so much to smile about when it comes to Disney Destinations. For more news and updates, visit DisneyTravelAgents.com. Did you ever think there'd be a day where you'd be sponsored by Disney?
It's all right.
So thank you for being here. I am so excited about having you on because I think you always shed such a bright light on things that we all should be doing when it comes to our financial health as agents. So hopefully our 2020 taxes are finished. And I don't know about you, but each year I use that time to kind of reflect on my bookkeeping skills or lack thereof. And you have created an easy tool for us to use throughout the year in order to make tracking our money that much easier. So we're going to show that on the screen here, but can you explain the thought process behind this and why it's so important that agents take the time to do this step?
Sure. So actually, this came from a conversation that you and I had maybe 2 months ago. And it was really, what's the easiest way to track my expenses? You know, nobody gets into wading through all the receipts and the detail. So I developed this with the idea, it's really focused more towards credit card transactions and trying to make it as simple as possible so that if you, on a monthly basis, you download your information, it will automatically slot it into the right category and the right month, so that at the end of the year, you can just send the file to your tax accountant. It'll, one, hopefully save you money because he won't spend hours wading through it. And hopefully it'll, if you've historically been the one to do it, then it'll make your life a little easier. So it's just hopefully a practical little tool to facilitate staying on top of the expenses and not having a year-end, nightmare where you got to go through and do it all at one time.
Well, and what I love about this is that it's very specific, right? I mean, to be honest, like we started with what I did and it was travel expenses, boom. But this really breaks it down into your airfare, your hotel, your car rental, because each of those can be taken at a different rate. Subscriptions, things like this. So this, to me, what I really got out of this was it's a visual depiction of where my money is going and how much I'm actually spending. And it's so specific that you can't shy away from the fact that maybe you spend too much money, taking clients to coffee. One year I actually did this postage. I spent an exorbitant amount of money on postage. And so my goal was to figure out that year, how do I back it up? And yes, I still want to send Thanksgiving cards, but do documents always have to go in a package? Like, could some of them be sent by email?
I didn't even think about that aspect, but I'm delighted that that's a benefit. Yeah.
So, and the cool part is
easy, but yeah, you're right. It also is a good way to just give you a visual look to say, does everything seem appropriate in terms of the dollar amounts?
Mm-hmm. And so let's flip to the other screen. And what I love about this is that this is where you actually can download those credit card statements. And you guys, I did do this. I use a not a Capital One. I use a United Explorer card from Chase. I was able to download it straight to here, categorize everything. And then the cool part is it, oops, sorry, I was hoping to go back. Oh goodness. Oh no, it's gonna tell you all where he is. All right. Wow. This just didn't work the way it was supposed to today. There we go. We'll get there. Then you can go back and it slots it all in, which is amazing.
Yes. So the intent was, hopefully if you do it on a monthly basis, it's not going to take you more than, worst case, maybe 15 minutes. You sign into your bank account, you download either a CSV or an Excel file. In the one column, I have it where you'll drop in the description, and the next column, you drop in the dollar amount. I have a column that you had highlighted there where there's a drop-down box to categorize each of them into the categories I've got listed here. And then what it'll do is this tab will get automatically updated. There's also a column, I should say, where you slot it to what month it is, and that's a drop-down menu. Mm-hmm. January through December. You just pick your month. And so when you take the one step of downloading the information and the 2 steps of categorizing it, it'll update this top spreadsheet. And hopefully the whole process should be 5 to 15 minutes a month.
It's amazing. And that'll save you hours at the end of the year.
Yes. Now, the one thing I will add, so this will help organize you and keep you on track, and it'll also help your tax accountant, but it is not a substitute in the IRS's eyes for having the receipts. So you still want to hold on to the receipts. And the best thing I can suggest there is getting one of these apps on your phone where you can take a picture and store it off on your computer, and then at the end of the year you put it all the pictures of the receipts in a file. You put this, and the 2 can get emailed off to your tax accountant, and they've got everything, at least in terms of credit cards.
just to clarify, are you talking about the physical receipt from like
Yeah.
the restaurant? So
Yes.
my credit card statement does not.
The IRS does not recognize credit card statements. They want receipts. So, and odds are, the chance that any of us are going to get audited is very slim. But if you're that one out of a whatever million that gets picked, you don't want to have all your valid expenses, disallowed because you don't have receipts. So I really recommend get the app for one of your phones. So there are all kinds of them that are out there where you can take a picture and it will just upload it, it'll categorize it, and then you can save it to a computer, and you can, like I say, you can attach these 2 files and send them off.
Okay, so many light bulb moments during the last 5 minutes. Thank you so much for taking the time. And you guys, if you're a KHM agent, you're going to have access to this spreadsheet. We are putting it in the agent portal. So yay for you. Someone has asked a quick question here, Dave. Can you ask him about text email receipts? Oh, so what do we do with those? We just save those in a file as well?
Save those in a file as well. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, we've learned so much. I take one step forward and then it seems like one step back. So thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure.
Your time is so much appreciated.
Delighted to do it. Bye now.
All right. Take care. All right, you guys. Wow, I thought I was doing everything right. So can you believe we have been learning about travel protection for almost a month now, and the information just keeps coming. Welcome, VA, for our final segment on this topic. And the conversation's never over, let's face it. So this segment is brought to you by Scenic Cruises, taking 5-star service to a whole new level, guaranteeing total relaxation and cultural immersion, both on board and on land. Hi, VA, welcome back.
Hi there. Oh, I'd love to be on a scenic cruise.
Yes. So we have talked about the client. We have discussed the policy information and what we're looking for. And now we're going to touch on that decision-making process. So what does that look like for you when you're trying to share travel protection options with your client?
Well, what I do first is consider who's the client and what's the destination, because those 2 things are going to determine what's that right policy with the right coverage. So the first thing I look at is it a domestic trip or is it an international trip? Because if it's a domestic trip, healthcare may not be a consideration. They may not need that medical coverage. If they're in an HMO that's regional, yeah, maybe. But for most people, they can travel anywhere in the US and their healthcare follows them. So with domestic, it may be that they only need that trip cancellation. But when you're talking international, you got to consider the medical part of it. They may need medical coverage. And for people of a certain age, like I'm of that certain age, and it's very important to me because I'm on Medicare, which means no coverage whatsoever whenever I go outside the US. So I have to look at what kind of medical coverage does the policy have. And so in that case, I'm looking at what does the supplier offer and what does third party offer. And with the supplier, I'm very carefully looking at what are the coverage limits for the medical, because in a lot of cases, it's too low for what most people need. They don't consider how much things cost. I mean, $25,000 medical coverage is not really adequate for an international trip.
So let me ask you this, and I'm throwing you a curveball here. You've been doing this for 20 years. How much do you feel it's your responsibility to dig into that with them? To ask those questions about their healthcare coverage within the country and what it might look like outside the country? Or do you really feel like we have to be surface? I'm going to hand you things that I believe in, that because they offer a good product at a good price and the company's good, And then I'm going to let you decide and make that decision based on your personal situation, which I don't really want to get into the details with you. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of somewhere in between. I will say here are two products, but what I want you to pay particular attention to is the medical coverage, or you're getting cash back or you're getting voucher back.
Okay.
Those important things, just like whenever I give them the terms and conditions for their package, I'll say, here's all the terms and conditions. There's a lot of words here, but what I want you to pay particular attention to are the cancellation fees.
Okay. Very
Okay.
good. Very good.
And,
Okay.
and you learn. I mean, you know, you have clients that you book all the time. You know
Right.
what they're going to want. So I don't even offer the supplier. I go straight with the third party.
Okay. So we've looked at the destination. And so really at the end of the day, you're talking about reading the policy, reading the policy, being prepared, and asking questions to the insurance company.
The provider.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most definitely. Attend those webinars. In a lot of cases, they're throwing case type things to you, which may not be what you want to hear, but go, because you will always pick up all sorts of little things.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things that have helped me the most with travel protection, I've learned in those webinars, and that's how to deal with the client who says, I don't really need travel protection.
Mm-hmm.
What do I need that for?
Right. So what if the client declines completely? What are you looking for from them?
Well, I have two questions that I ask. And most of the time, I don't have to get past the first question. But, you know, if we have to get to the second one, we do. The first question is, are you in a financial position to self-insure? And I use those words, self-insure. And then I say, that is to lose this amount of money if for some reason you should have to cancel and you're at that point in the process where you're going to lose all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that will make a lot of people just really sit up and take notice, because, you know, maybe you're talking about $2,000, maybe you're talking about $10,000, maybe you're talking about $50,000. And if they still go, I don't know, I'll say, okay, that's fine, but what's the plan if something happens? What do you do if you have an accident? Because they happen. Do you understand that in a lot of international destinations, they want payment up front? And it doesn't matter if you're bleeding. They want that money. I mean, I've been in a hospital in Cancun, bleeding all over the waiting room, but they wanted that $1,000 before they'd let me go in the back. So I just make sure that people understand that going in.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then if they do ultimately decline, you want it in writing.
Oh, writing. You want that in writing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Definitely. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time each week to help us decipher this. I think it's an ongoing topic. You can never watch enough webinars. The information just keeps coming.
You can't ask too many questions.
Mm-hmm.
Just
absolutely
ask those questions.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here. Before I let you go, could you give us our first clue to where in the world Matt is?
I sure can. It is home to a popular cruise port on Mediterranean cruise itineraries.
Okay. Start thinking, guys. All right. Thanks, VA. We'll see you back in a little bit for another segment.
Okay.
All right, you guys. I am so excited to welcome our next guest. A few weeks ago, we all took a deep breath when we saw Bill Coyle and other KHM agents in Italy a few weeks ago. It gave us hope and promise. And here today to share more European insights is Mark Yacker from Europe Express. Thank you so much for being here, Mark.
Hey there. Hi, Carolyn.
So it's very rare that I get to speak to someone who's literally like 30 minutes from me.
I feel like I should have come down to see you and done it live.
We could have done it side by side. So let's start with a little reflection. All the industry experts that I've spoken to over the last year have said that while the pandemic was something that no one wanted and didn't want to experience and never wants to experience again, it really forced them and their organizations to take a look at what and how they were doing business. So what did Europe Express kind of learn from COVID?
There were a lot of learnings from it, and I have to start with myself. I was fortunate to take this role just a few months before the pandemic kicked off. So I was still new here at Europe Express, and it gave me a really steep learning curve to how great this company is, the thought that goes into everything they organize, the communication and relationship with our own DMC office out there in Europe. All of these things came to me very quickly because we were having twice a day executive team calls every day from the moment the president had announced the Europe travel ban. So I thought that was fantastic, and it was, as I say, a great learning curve for me. In terms of the business, one of the big things I guess these are things that were reinforced because there were things that we did have in place, but we found that communication is super important. Right? We focused on keeping our advisor partners updated all throughout the process, where we were, what our policies were, how things were changing. We did that by adding a coronavirus page to our website. We held weekly webinars. We still are holding weekly webinars. Our BDMs were making call outs to advisors, checking in on them, making sure that they were okay, but also communicating about any bookings that they had with us. And then I myself was in constant contact with our consortia partners, with the consortia head offices, and our host account manager with the host accounts. So communication was absolutely key. We got a lot of feedback on that they really appreciated being kept in the loop and not sitting and wondering what's going on, what's happening along the way.
Right.
One of the other things, if I can, that really stood out to me being new to the company was the benefit of having our own DMC office in Europe. And we've got a whole team of Europe Express staff who are based out there. They happen to be in Barcelona, that's where the office is. And their local relationships that were already existing really enabled us to get the best refunds from our partners because of that relationship. And our team in Europe is personally monitoring all of the local conditions. So they're getting local news. They're seeing things that we aren't seeing here on the ground here in the US.
Well, and that communication and patience, I feel, is what we all learned, right? Because it wasn't always a quick and easy answer. It took time, a lot of time to get a resolution. So I feel like almost every day we're hearing on the news that this country's opening, this region's opening. What truly is open, and how do we go about deciphering all that information?
Well, I will start with, you're right, things are changing quickly. So what I tell you today could be different tomorrow or even this afternoon. But it is really exciting to see that lots of things are starting to open. These opening announcements are coming fast and furious. Before I cover the countries, I just want to mention what Europe Express considers to be open for travel. So at Europe Express, we consider that country to be open when US or Canadian travelers are allowed in for leisure travel, right? Also, that there won't be any lengthy quarantines or restrictions on movement around the country. We really just don't want anything to have a significantly negative impact on the client's experience. So that's what we put in as our key parameters before we will allow a booking to go. So in terms of what is open, for the past couple of months, you're probably aware that Greece, Iceland, Croatia, and Turkey have all been open. We've had people traveling again, and that feels so good to say after 15 months. We've had people out into mostly Greece and Iceland, given the length of time they've been open and their popularity. As of the last couple of weeks, Italy, France, Spain, have all announced openings. They are ready to go, ready to welcome us in. And then also Ireland announced an opening date of July 19th. So those are all countries that we are taking bookings for now. We will accept a booking for travel 2 weeks from the date of the booking. Right? We need a little time to make sure we can reconfirm services are all going to work the way they should and to get documents out to advisors.
So you've mentioned some countries that I would consider kind of small, right? I feel like I'm confident in Spain and Italy to kind of be there with the COVID protocols. But Greece and Turkey, I'm thinking, how confident can I be as an advisor that my clients are going to be able to get that COVID test available to them to come back into the country? Is that something you guys are working with the country to provide, or at least give resources to provide?
Yes, in terms of the resources. So we are not organizing the tests. We do carry an enormous amount of people into all different places. But what we do have are the resources, right? And I can tell you that countries where North American travelers are able to go, they can get a COVID test in all of those countries that are open. And I expect the same will be the case as more open. Where and how will vary by country. So we have provided a few links to finding local testing sites on our coronavirus and travel planning page of our website. So I really encourage advisors to make sure you're checking that page. If you do not have an advisor login for our website, make sure you get on there. There's a registration tab right at the top. Register yourself so that you can have access to all of this information. It started as policy information, things that were affecting bookings. That is still there. But we've expanded it as more and more information has come out and as people are now starting to travel. So we did add a travel planning page on there, and there are a whole bunch of helpful links. Links to the US Embassy sites in every one of those countries that we travel to. But we've also recently added links for COVID testing locations. So it's the main ones we've put up so far are actually airline sites. United and Delta have great links that you can put in the city or the zip or the address that you are in, and it will show you all of the local locations that you can go for a COVID test. The other thing I don't want anybody to overlook is the front desk and the concierge at the hotel where they're staying. They are super informed and they want to make sure they're helping you out and getting that test as close to the hotel as you can. And then one other thing, if I can, is a lot of airports are also beginning to, if they don't already, implement testing sites within the airport. So we are currently collating that information, and that will also go up on the site here in the next couple of days with information about all of the airport testing sites. And with that, I just want to point out, and this will be on the information that we provide, is the expectation right now is that those tests are coming back in less than an hour. So clients will need to get to the airport a little bit early, but not exorbitantly. That could change as the volume picks up, and we'll continue to keep that information updated on our site so that advisors are informed.
So I have to tell you that I was one of those advisors that was like hands off, not doing Europe this summer, just not going to handle it because I was so afraid of those details, right? And where are those resources going to be available? Who's going to provide them? I mean, I don't know anyone in Turkey. So, this really was something that I made the decision. I'm not doing summer. And, but I feel like you really helped me come to terms with the fact that it is doable. So moving forward for agents that want to do this summer, what's your advice?
First off, speak with a Europe Express reservation specialist, right? Because like you said, you were concerned about the information and do I know enough and do I know the right people? You do. If you know us, our team is really well traveled, very experienced, from the reservations specialists right up to the management in that team and all the way up through the organization. So we are working on all of that information for advisors. Second to that is plan early. Right. Well, actually, I'm going to start off before I get to second to that. The number one thing really is about qualifying your clients. And I know we've said that forever. Oh, make sure you qualify your clients. This is a different type of qualification. In this case, we're really looking at, do they have a flexible mindset, right? Advisors know their clients. are these people flexible? Otherwise, it might make sense to delay their travel, right? Maybe till September. Fall is great in Europe. Maybe even looking forward to spring or summer next year. These countries are opening, keyword being opening, and they're not back to pre-pandemic service levels. So the client needs to be qualified and informed that things can change. There can be delays. Some hotels and sightseeing operators are not even open yet in these countries that have reopened. There could be delays at the airports. I would expect them with additional requirements and checking testing and things like that. Delaying the trip if a client is not flexible is going to give the local suppliers more time to just knock that rust off, right? And we all want to help people travel now. I want to travel now.
And if they don't want to wear a mask, right? They don't want to be in our headlines,
yeah,
because they don't want to wear a mask for the 10-hour trip over there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. If they don't want to wear a mask, they absolutely shouldn't go to Europe. Most of these countries are requiring masks to some degree, whether it's just indoors. Some of them, it's required to wear indoors and outdoors. So, again, if that's an issue for them, Europe's maybe not the right place for them to go right now. Give it a little time. Things are going to settle down. As I started, so we all want to help people travel now. We all want to take those bookings, but we have to take into consideration the client experience, right? Because that's just going to come back to the advisor and then back onto us. And while that's all important to get people out there and traveling, almost more important really is the experience that they're going to have on the ground.
Awesome.
So if I can also, one other really important thing is to help speed up the quoting process. This goes to the other version of qualifying your clients, right? Make sure you get as many details as you can. It's really going to help avoid that back and forth with our reservation specialists. We all know that phones are getting busy. I've seen the crazy hold times with other suppliers. We're not there yet. Our hold times are still less than 5 minutes. But as more countries open and demand grows and more people start getting interest, there's going to be a rush of requests coming in. So get ahead of it, get all of the details you can, give those details to our reservation specialists so that they don't have to go back and forth with you to get all the particulars. Things like, of course, the destinations and the dates, any special interests they have, any special requirement, maybe dietary requirements or any other requirements that the clients may have, and even just asking what did they enjoy the most about their previous vacations. All of that's going to help our reservation specialists build the right itinerary for you and turn it around quickly.
I also like to go on the website and look at the hotels that are available and say, okay, I'm thinking about this hotel. What do you think? And that way, I feel like I'm providing more information and I can say, I think the hotel is great for my client because A, B, and C. Am I in the right ballpark? And that has always helped with my turnaround time. And we know turnaround time, if that's fast, that booking, that deposit comes a lot faster too.
True, and I think you're right. I think our online resources are great. So again, like I said earlier, register for access to the site. You can check out that coronavirus and more importantly, the travel planning page. And then to your point, use the online planning and booking engine that we have. Advisors can go in, they can start to build out kind of the shell of the itinerary. Like you said, pick the hotels that you believe are going to be right for your clients. The number of days in each city, things like that. And then reach out to our reservations specialist, give them the booking number, the quote number that you have, that you've created online, and let them help with all the other parts, the things you need them for. But you can certainly do a lot on your own within our system.
Perfect. We do have a question here that's come through. Have you heard anything about a projected date for Portugal opening?
Today. Not that I heard it today, they opened today.
Oh, look at that.
This speaks to, we discovered this overnight. This speaks to information is coming quickly, it's changing quickly. Countries are not always giving a long window of, oh, we are going to open on such and such. They actually announced they were open for Americans beginning today. Now, we are still, as this news is so fresh, it hasn't even got up on the website yet. We're still looking into just a few things to make sure that we're happy to be sending clients there now, but officially they have announced they are open.
That's amazing. Well, Mark, I can't thank you enough for being here. I know you're going to stick around for our next segment, but I'm hoping you can give our second clue for where in the world is Matt.
Yes, I think I can. So where Matt is, the name translates to Black Mountain.
Awesome.
Black Mountain.
Thank you so much for being here, for sharing information about what Europe Express can do for us and all the resources that are available. And I know I feel so much more confident in taking this on. So thank you so much for being here. We're going to have you stay on.
Oh yeah, now, okay. Thank you so much for having me for that session.
Awesome. We're going to stay on, you guys, because I've been wanting to do this segment for a while. We're going to bring the entire team on, including our producer, Robbie, who's in the home office, because so we know travel's picking up a bit. Look, we look like the Brady Bunch. And I have been intrigued by what people are bringing on airplanes. And, you know, sometimes I'll have my backpack and my carry-on that goes in the overhead. But I'm always intrigued by people who are fumbling on the plane and they've got this bag that's open and stuff's falling out, and then they got the shopping bag. And I'm always curious as to what are they bringing on, right? Especially when it's going underneath the seat in front of them. So what does everyone feel like they need in their bag to make it through the flight? And so everyone from the team is here to discuss this riveting topic. But before we go, I need to make sure that I mention that we're sponsored by Travel Impressions today, with extensive global portfolio featuring over 2,400 resorts. It's our largest tour operator, featuring over 200 destinations worldwide. So you guys, let's start with Robbie. Robbie, what is in your carry-on?
Well, usually the trips that I do are a little bit shorter, so it's not super hard to find things to entertain myself with. And one of my go-tos for that on my carry-on is my sketchbook. Usually I'll just doodle or do like a comic book character or something like that. But sometimes I like to do the views or like the, some random people I see if I'm at the airport for, layover or anything like that. So yeah, my sketchbook, maybe a pack of pens and colored pencils too with that.
And so when you're doing that on the airplane, do you find that the person, excuse me, next to you is constantly like doing this?
Every single time I've flown, I fly with friends or family or coworkers, and so it probably have done that, but it didn't bother me at all.
Yeah, I tend to watch other people's movies.
It's hard to resist that. Yeah, I do that too.
All right, that's a good one. See my curiosity is piqued. Kevin, what's in your carry-on?
I have just most of the normal stuff. I have my iPad with a movie on it, earbuds. I want to make sure I have that. I have an external speaker in case I'm in an airport and I need to slip it under one of the kids' seats to make fart noises. But something that I have that I looked in my bag to see what I had.
You're traveling with.
Is I have my LCR game. I just looked in my bag. I said, what's something I always leave in there? It's my LCR game. So it's a left, right, center game. When I'm traveling overseas, we have long layovers, and I'm usually with groups. I can break that out, and we can have a great time in the airport playing LCR to kill time. So that's something that's unique that's in my bag.
Very good. I wouldn't have thought of that. All right, Mark, what's in your bag?
So I'm kind of the opposite of Robbie. Most of my travel is long haul. Whether it's Europe for pleasure or work. Previously, I've worked out in Asia, so long haul flights. So for me, of course, my laptop as far as work goes. But beyond that, it's definitely my headphones, my phone or my laptop loaded up with music and things to watch, entertain myself. If it is that overnight flight, I'm gonna have a light fleece with me to make sure if it's cold that I got some coverage, and my travel pillow to help me sleep overnight. Those are the main things. Yeah.
Very good. All right, Matt, what are you bringing with you?
Probably my most unique thing would be the carry-on cocktail kit. I think they have about 10 different versions you can get now, but it's basically got everything you need in this little container, this little tin to make your favorite cocktail. They've got Bloody Mary, they've got champagne cocktails, they've got margarita, they've got Moscow Mule, and it's like super fancy. It's got a metal spoon, a cloth napkin, all these cute little bottles. It doesn't have the alcohol. You got to buy the alcohol on board. But what I do when that cart's coming by, where we can buy that alcohol, I start setting it all up. And of course, I'm sitting in economy, but I'm acting like I'm in first class. And everybody's like, who's this guy? Who's this bougie dude? But they're really good, and I just enjoy them, and it just makes it feel a little bit more fancy on the flight.
You have just given everyone on the line today the best Father's Day gift ever. Like, I seriously am going to jump on Amazon. But let's face it, I saw the picture of you. Your last flight, you were not in economy.
No.
Oh, no. I got a good deal on upgrading that one, so yeah.
All right, the carry-on cocktail. Okay, VA, I know what yours is, and it's interesting, but it's not as fun as Matt's.
No, not nearly as much fun. Now, this is mostly for long haul flights, Carolyn. You know how in a plane, the air is always super dry. So you have dry hands, dry face. Well, my nose gets really dry. And I thought about Neosporin, and the doctor said, nope, don't use that. It's got petroleum jelly. You don't want to inhale that into your lungs. So I found this stuff. It's called unpetroleum jelly. You can buy it on Amazon. Easy to get, but you know, this is pretty big tube, and it's over 3 ounces. So I got these cute little deals. They're called Go Tubes. They're put out by Human Gear. You can get these on Amazon too. It just pops open and snaps closed. So it works really well for things that you need to carry a little bit of. And I put all of that inside this little 3x3 bag. It fits in there really good. I don't have to worry about anything leaking, and I can close it up. And we also use these for our medication. We pack our daily medications in these things. You can get those on Amazon, everything on Amazon.
I was going to say, are we sure we're not sponsored by Amazon? And
Yeah,
if we're not,
we're going to put an affiliate link in the comments.
One more little thing. This is also put out by Human Gear. It's for all those other things you need in your carry-on, and you can open it up and fill it. So all those things that you don't want to carry a big bottle of, but you want to carry some, they come in 1.7 and 3 ounce, and I think there's even a bigger one, but those are the 2 sizes that I have.
Vodka for Matt's Moscow Mules.
Right?
So Virginia, for that unpetroleum jelly, did you stick that up your nose, or what's that for?
with a Q-tip, and I just use it
Oh.
right inside my nose, and it protects it and just keeps you from getting that really extremely dry nose that you get on those long flights.
You know, I never would have done that before. I don't like sticking things up my nose, but I've been tested so much for COVID now that I don't mind it anymore. So
it was funny. The first COVID test I went for, I said, oh, that wasn't too bad. That's kind of like putting this stuff in my nose.
Yeah. All right, so I'll tell you guys what's always in my carry-on is my bathing suit. No matter where I'm going, I always bring a bathing suit with me. And that's one of those things that no matter what, it's not getting purchased at a gift shop. It's not getting purchased at a resort store. It's not happening. So I always have my bathing suit, but let's face it, it's not a use to anyone else. But I always have toothbrush and toothpaste. Always in my carry-on. And especially with a mask now, it's an absolute must. I go everywhere with it. So I was intrigued when I was flying back from Punta Cana that someone in front of me needed Dramamine. She was not feeling well, and I have a feeling she might have been hungover, but she wasn't feeling well, and she had mentioned Dramamine, and someone 2 rows up heard her and handed some back. And I thought that was amazing that someone actually had that in their carry-on with them. You know, I would have thought, well, maybe that would be in my checked luggage, but nope, she had it and handed it back. And so therefore this segment was born, because I just started to be intrigued by what people actually carry with them. So you guys, thanks so much. I'm interested to see, Robbie, do you see any comments? What do other people carry?
Let's see here. We've got,
Oh, wet ones. Yeah.
yeah.
I always have wet ones too. Yep. Before and after kids. I love it.
Is there anything else here? Someone else says we love left, right, center.
Yep.
Denise.
Cards, a blanket, a good book. And Matt, there's several offers to sit next to you on the next flight.
That's a good one. You know,
Yeah, it makes two, actually. It makes two.
See, you're the perfect seatmate. I never, ever get seated next to people like you. You guys, thanks so much for being here. Mark, again, thank you and Europe Express for your partnership. And we'll see you guys back here soon. We're going to find out where Matt is in just a moment. But up next is Kevin Kelly. Kevin, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Carolyn. I'm doing well.
Good. Well, you are, you're not retired and ready to travel, but people certainly are. And I don't know about you, but it has been crazy. So before we get started on your insights on this phenomenon, let's make sure that we say that your segment is sponsored by Blue Sky Tours, a favorite supplier for Hawaii and the South Pacific, offering hotels, condos, rental cars, and all major airlines flying to the islands. So this has been crazy. I know your phone's been ringing off the hook, and so has mine, with people who are booking 2023 and trying to be beyond. And they're all retirees, and it's like they're stir crazy and they just want to get on that plane. And budget almost doesn't seem to be a concern.
And that's what we're seeing here on the group end. They're eager to get a vacation plan. I mean, they've been sitting home. They haven't been able to plan their vacation. We're looking at the baby boomers. Half are fully retired or partially retired that are ready to travel, and they've saved to travel. They're not traveling to save anymore. And they're doing these trips, you know, that some will call them dream list vacations. We call them vacations of a lifetime. Some call them bucket list vacations, but yeah, the people I talk to don't like that terminology. I mean, the bucket's close if they're kicking it. But anyway, yeah, we're seeing a tremendous amount of senior activity. Yeah, you know, I just spoke with somebody every day. I'm speaking with somebody, whether it's a reunion trip for a university. I just spoke with someone. Another gal, she puts together several high-end groups each year, and she has a mailing list that consists mostly of baby boomers, mostly retirees, that she gets together, and you know, they go on these elaborate trips that some of them are trips of a lifetime that they've always wanted to do, and then they've brought their friends along who were like, I never even knew this existed, and they're willing to come along. So that, yeah, we're seeing a lot of that coming through the group department now.
So you're seeing that, and that retirees have saved to travel, and now they're not concerned so much about saving on travel, which I just think is like, oh, don't we wish everyone thought that way?
Yeah, I see that in some of my clients. I'm related to some of these people. You know, they've been saving, and they've always wanted, they want the best value in whatever you're presenting to them. But where they went on a Caribbean cruise before, now they're going on a river cruise in Europe, which is 4 or 5 times the price sometimes. Right. And they're not batting an eye, and they're upgrading their accommodations. They're not going with the entry level. They're upgrading their accommodations. So that's why I say some of these, you know, many of these people have saved to travel. That's what they want to do when they retire. They want to travel. And with this gap year here, they're upgrading their accommodations. They're willing to spend a little bit more on these pricier vacations.
Well, and I think it's so important because we've talked for, gosh, how many segments have we done? And the big takeaway is always, don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions about your client. Offer it up and let them make the decision. And, you know, it's so funny because you know, you always hear the saying, right? The wealthiest people drive the crappiest cars. You never know what someone has been saving for. And so they might have, you know, penny pinched for, you know, 60 years. And now they're saying, I'm going big. I'm going to do this and do it right.
And agents I talk to, because I'm talking to them because they want to know some of the ins and outs of the places they're going to, how to work with certain tour operators, whatnot. And Europe Express, we're recommending them all the time for groups. But when we get together with them, they're all in amazement. They're like, I can't believe it. These clients, and I'm having the snowball effect, and this isn't a inexpensive vacation, and I can't believe these clients that I've had for years now want to spend this money. It's fun. It's really fun. But
well, and
yeah.
I think it begs to ask the question at the end of a conversation: is there anyone that you think of that would like to travel with you?
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, there's so many times we forget to ask that question.
And that's what there's somebody that does an email list that plans these elaborate vacations every year, and that's what I was saying. What's one of your secrets? She said, you know, you can't be afraid to ask for referrals, and these people are willing to give you their friends' names. You know, they're willing to tell their friends to come to check out what you're offering for these trips, and so this group, you know, amongst their peers, it seems to be working great. And that's what I find, that the retirees that are, you know, many of them are travel planners now. They've used it as another job, another occupation, should I say. And then they are running self-led trips. And then the agents have group leaders that, you know, that can better communicate with their peers. And it's working fantastic. It's really creating a lot of opportunities for agents out there.
Well, this is a growing segment and one that our agents should not be afraid to go after. So thanks so much for sharing your insights today. You guys, if you're a KHM agent, you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the groups department at KHM. They'll be happy to help you and set you on the right path. So thanks, Kevin.
Absolutely.
Before I let you go, what is our last clue for Matt?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's one of my most memorable stops on a cruise. It was once in the Union with Serbia. It was once in union with Serbia.
All right, let's see where he is. He's up next. Thanks, Kevin. All right. So we are grateful to have American Airlines sponsor our Where in the World segment this week, with savings to be earned when booking air and hotel together. The ability to earn miles, book with miles, and book now, pay later options with AA Vacations is a great option for your clients. So Matt, hi.
Hey.
The curtains are not giving anything away.
No.
You're not in prison, because prison doesn't have curtains, to my knowledge. I don't know that for a fact. So let's recap our clues. It's home to a popular cruise port on Mediterranean cruise itineraries. Its name means Black Mountain, and it was once in union with Serbia. So where is Matt, everyone? I know we've got a couple responses. We had one for, where did we have? I think we had one for Croatia. Where did they? Dubrovnik, Montenegro. Where is Matt?
Wisdom of the crowds. Sounds like it's Montenegro. Yeah.
That is in Montenegro, and you can see some beautiful pictures of where he is on the screen, which just looks stunning. Is it hot right now, Matt?
It's warm, and it's getting warmer every day. So, but at nighttime, it's pretty nice. So in the nighttime, it cools down, but it's nice hot days. Definitely days where you want to jump in the ocean in the Adriatic and just cool off. But yeah, it's the weather's great. It's actually really nice.
And so what are some of the fun things that you've done?
Yeah, so the first picture there, so I was in Croatia. I was in Dubrovnik for the ASTA conference, and then from there I hired a private driver to take me to Montenegro and do some exploring. And so that first picture there is in Perast, which is a very small town within the bay there of Montenegro. And I am on an island that you can get to by a little boat. And in the back is another island. So this island I am on is called the Our Lady of the Rocks. And then the little island in the back is an abbey, which they don't allow you to go on anymore. It was destroyed, and now they just made it look nice on the outside, but the inside it's really not functional and nobody lives there anymore. But it's a really cool experience. You get some really cool pictures. I love how it's a tight little bay with these just huge mountains on the side, and what you can see in the next photo there, which is Kotor, and you see the big mountains. You can actually climb the mountains because there's another little fortified village up there and it's got, I don't know how many steps they said it was, like 200 plus steps. It looked longer. I didn't do it because I looked at a satellite first and it just looked like a little farm up there. And I'm like, I'm not going all the way up there for that little farm. But Kotor is like a little, again, it's a fortified city, like a fortress, like Dubrovnik, but it's smaller. It's a little more quaint. It's a little more cute. You have these huge mountains behind in the scenery. It's still a lively city. There's bars, there's amazing restaurants. The food is delicious. They're known for their seafood. You go up and you just pick your fish and then they'll cook it for you. They do an amazing job. I have no critique on how they cook the fish. They know what they're doing. I also had mussels, which they're known for, which is really good. And all the portions are huge. I could tell you what I had for breakfast at the hotel. And every time I see them, like, these portions are huge. And everybody keeps saying, it's tradition, it's tradition. So order one dish and that's plenty for two. Want to know what I had for breakfast?
What?
And it was included in the hotel. They gave me a bowl of strawberries, 2 bananas, 2 croissants, like 4 burek, like pastries. It's with that flaky dough and the cheese and feta inside, scrambled eggs, cucumber and tomato. What else? Oh, like a charcuterie plate with salami and prosciutto and various cheeses. And I'm probably missing a couple other things. It was like this whole table, like just full of food. It was breakfast. I sat there for an hour. I don't like to waste things. So I sat there for like an hour and a half, just enjoying the view and just trying to eat it. And I'm like, I can't eat all this. And they're like, it's tradition. It's okay. Okay.
Oh my gosh,
So,
that's great. What are the COVID procedures like? Are people wearing masks indoor, outdoor?
not really. It's pretty lax here. It's funny. Croatia was a little more strict with the masks. And then as I'm moving more south, it's like less restrictive. So there's people in the shops, like the shopkeepers, they put on a mask as soon as you come. But I noticed the people that are going in aren't really wearing a mask. And I kept a mask just in case, but nope, there's not really any masks going on in Montenegro. But Croatia is a little bit more strict on that regard.
Awesome. Well, we're so excited to see where you end up next week. And it's so wonderful to see your smiling face. We're all super jealous. But this is a fun segment to be doing for the next couple of weeks so that we can see where you end up every week and what your travels look like in between. So thanks for being here. And the internet worked great.
Yeah, I switched my connection and it worked. So I'm glad it all worked out.
Wonderful. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. See you next week.
All right, you guys, more clues to come next week. It has been a great show. We thank all of our wonderful guests for being here today. As a reminder, these shows are on YouTube starting Thursday afternoons, and you can also access them from our webpage, khmtoday.com. Thank you to our show sponsor, Apple Leisure Group, and to all of our segment sponsors this week. I hope I got everyone's segment in there and their quick commercial in there this week. Last week was a little more challenging. So next week, have you ever wondered how your clients can get to the Super Bowl or the Kentucky Derby? Well, tune in next week to find out how you can make that happen for them. So you guys have a great week. Stay cool, and we'll see you next week.